it's Dr. Christy Ennis. Welcome to Follow Me Friday, where motion is lotion. Today for our abdominals, we are going to work and getting them to be a little bit flatter. Now, keep in mind though, that yes, there are some exercises that can help with this, but it does come down to other exercise that you do for your body and diet. So I'm going to help you along with just this focused part, but then the rest also needs to be taken into consideration. We are going to do these all on our mat. If you would prefer to do them in bed, you can do that too. All right, we have to start with the very most important part of this whole video is activating the abdominals properly. So we really want to think about our deep abdominals so that those help us activate and stabilize, because otherwise you end up blooping and pushing those abs out, which doesn't make the belly flatter. It tends to actually make it rounder and can even cause something called a diastasis recti, where the muscles separate. So key here is pulling in and activating in the way that makes them work the way they should, and using some of those supporting muscles. So step one, you can go ahead and arch and flatten that spine and back, back is the spine, until you find your comfortable position. And that's different for everybody. That's why I don't say just flatten your back. Your back may not want to do that. Second part is to take that belly button and gently pull down towards the spine. You may even feel a little bit of a lift in those pelvic floor muscles. That's perfectly normal because they connect where each part is. This is your basis for every exercise, and you do not want to leave this. So we're going to start with some very simple motions to get you to feel those abdominal muscles working, and we're going to start that right now. Starting out, we're going to start with a nice simple little march. I usually have people put their hands right on their hips so that you make sure you're not tilting those hips at all. Again, belly button's pulled in. You probably feel, like I said before, those pelvic floor muscles too. We're really concentrating on how this feels. And I know this seems simple, but a lot of times we start out with really complicated exercises that look super awesome, but our abs aren't doing what they are supposed to do. And then we can end up with pain for one thing, or like I said, those abdominal muscles actually blooping out a little bit. So we're going to do a couple more on each side, and we're going to just build on this a little bit, right? All right, last one. Now we're going to take one leg and we're going to bring it out to the side. You're only bringing it out as far as you can, again, without this opposite hip kind of popping up. And here, you should actually feel those glutes engage a little bit as well. I'm going to pushing my foot down slightly too, as I do want to activate all of those supporting muscles as well. We're going to do 10 on each side. At any point in time, if you feel like you're not activating in those muscles, just take a little break, reset, re-engage, and then keep going. If you need to stop completely because it doesn't feel like it's activating anymore, that's okay too. Just want to make sure we're keeping the right form, persistent and consistent here. We've got 2 more on this side, and then we're switching. Oh, don't forget to breathe. Sometimes I forget that myself. If you guys do feel like you might need a little bit more guidance than what you're seeing here in these videos, check out my membership options, where I do offer a one-on-one Zoom appointment that we come up with a plan for you for the month, and I'll link that for you guys too. Here's 5. Sometimes I find that I am engaging too many muscles and then things start to shake, so pay attention to that too. We're going to do 2 more on this side. So again, it's a matter of retraining, not even just strength, right? We got to get our brain and our muscles to talk. All right, we're going to do a modified dead bug. So we're going to go back to that march, and then one arm is going to come overhead and come back down. Again, we're trying to keep both legs, or at least one leg, on the ground to start with here to make sure those muscles are doing what they need to do. It gets harder and harder as you add movement and as you add those legs up in the air. So that's also why we're starting with a bent leg here. Notice my arm is not going all the way overhead, because if I do, I'm going to arch through some part of my body. And we want to make sure we're keeping that whole middle nice and stable. And still breathing. Good. We're going to get 1 more on each side here. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to bring my hands behind my head. If that's uncomfortable for you, you can go ahead and cross them over your chest. Make sure that you're not pulling your neck here. Keep those elbows open. Again, you're engaging, and it's just a small lift. So notice I'm not using my spine to help pull me up. I'm not using my neck because I'm not forcing that head up. And I'm keeping those abs engaged. Think about putting your concentration too on those lower abs to start that movement out. I like exhaling on the up, but again, just make sure that you're actually breathing. That's the key thing here. We're gonna do 3 more like this. Again, remember, I'm not pushing out as I come up. 2 and 3. Now, we're gonna stick with that crunch and we're gonna add a little crossover to get those obliques a little bit more. So I'm gonna lift up, go back to that little march and add that little rotation. Again, I'm not yanking that elbow towards that knee. I'm staying nice and open so that I make sure that my abs are the things that are actually doing most of the work here. So notice it's slow, small, controlled motion. And even if you are an advanced exerciser, you should still be able to work out those abs, even just doing these moves, because it's so focused and targeted. And if you've done abs recently, you'll feel it even more. Almost there. I'm going to do 1 more on each side. Good. Okay, I'm keeping 1 leg on the ground. This time though, I'm gonna straighten out the opposite leg and I'm gonna bring it up towards the ceiling. Okay, so a little harder because now that knee is no longer bent. We've got a longer lever arm. And from here, I'm gonna lower down towards the ground. I'm lowering as far as I can without arching, which may mean, and it does for me, not going all the way down to the ground. I did have a significant diastasis recti with my son when I was pregnant, and that's closed significantly doing some of these exercises, but it's still there a little bit, so I don't have that full strength and motion to help me out. So again, like I always say, listen to your body. Keep the good form, right? We want to just be able to build, and I want you guys to love exercise, and the only way to do that is to get the muscles to do what they need to do and not cause pain, right? That's so important, because if you're hurting, you just don't really want to continue. We're going to do 1 more like this. I noticed that this leg is starting to press a little bit more because I can feel my quad a lot, which means it's a good thing we're switching. Here we go, other side, same idea. Again, you can keep those hands on your pelvis, your hips if you need to make sure that you're not arching or dipping at all too, but you don't have to. If you feel pretty comfortable about it, keep those arms right down by your side. Again, we're going to do 10, so here's 4. Try not to tense up the upper body. I noticed I was doing that too. Sometimes you just got to shake it out. And again, breathing, right? 3 more like this. There's 2 and 3. Okay, going back, I'm going to bring that leg up again. And this time, we're going to make little circles going out first. So if you'll see here, I'm going to come out, come down, and come back around. Now, my circles are pretty small because if I made them big, here's what would happen. Might be an exaggeration a little bit, but again, we don't want to do that, right? We want all of those abdominal muscles to engage the way they're supposed to so we can teach them what the heck they're going to do as well as keeping strong. So here's 4. Your circle may, working too hard, can't speak. Your circle may get a little bit bigger as you go, as you start to kind of get warmed up and used to that motion, but it may not, and that's okay. If this is too much with the leg straight, you can go ahead and do it with the leg bent. Now I have to think, I got to coordinate myself though to do that. And it's out, down, and around. I'm going to stick with the straight leg. We're going to have 1 more on this side and then switch to that other side. Obviously kicking in some of those hip flexors and those hip abductors too at the same time. So again, those supportive muscles for our core. There's 2, 3. Whoa, I almost saw my shoulder pop up there. I better watch it. 4, 5, 6, 7. I think this side might be a bigger circle. 8, which means that one side of my hip and abdominal muscles are probably stronger than the other, to be honest with you. I'm a little imbalanced. You could just ask my family. I'll tell you the same thing. All right, feet are gonna go down. This is our last exercise. We're going to keep the heels together, turn those toes out just to open those hips a bit. Tuck that tailbone this time if it feels okay. If not, keep that same neutral spine. Squeeze those glutes, lift on up as high as you can without arching into the spine. So again, abdominals are still engaging here. Glutes are engaging a little bit more. If you feel like you're doing good with this, you can go ahead and add some arm movement in. So I'm gonna lift up and then those arms are gonna come again overhead for me, not all the way, or I'm gonna arch that rib cage too. So here's 4. We're gonna get 10 total. 5, and then you're done and you're off to a good start. 6, 7, 8, and you should feel good after this, hopefully. You've done something good for yourself, for sure. 1 more. Oh, awesome job.